Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our introduction to responsible AI. This is episode number 4, and today we'll be looking at accountability in artificial intelligence. Now, I hope a large part of my audience is familiar with online gaming, because my example is going to be around, imagine you are playing an online multiplayer game, and the rules are enforced by one player that's been selected by the community. Let's call him the architect. Now, the architect starts using artificial intelligence to help enforce the rules of the game and making sure things run smoothly. So just as in the real world, if AI starts impacting people's livelihoods, lives, experiences, you would like somebody to be accountable if something goes wrong. So one day in the game, the AI starts making some random rules and penalizing some of the players at random. Now it would be up to the architect to go and find out what went wrong, fixing the issue, communicating it to the players, and implementing some method to make sure it doesn't go wrong again. So in the real world as well, if AI is making decisions and it's impacting people, somebody needs to be able to find out what went wrong, fix it, communicate it, and implement methods to make sure it doesn't happen again. Now, what exactly is artificial intelligence accountability? It's really about ensuring there are methods and mechanisms and processes and people in place to hold the creators of these AI systems responsible for the performance and the impact that it have. It includes having clear procedures of who's responsible when the AI makes decisions or gets something wrong. And it's really about creating some guidelines, frameworks, and a structure of people that would be held accountable to make sure that errors, when they are identified, gets fixed, controls are put in place, it doesn't happen again, and that clear, transparent communication is put in place to communicate to whoever was affected. Now, accountability is important, firstly, because of trust building. If your customers or users know that even if they're using an AI system, if something goes wrong, that there is somebody that will find out what's wrong, fix it, make sure it doesn't happen again, and tell you what happened. And that builds trust. The next one is really around risk management. So if you are holding people accountable, then you can implement risk management and mitigation efforts. However, if there's nobody accountable, then it becomes really hard to manage the risk around your artificial intelligence solution. Ethics compliance, of course. If there's nobody accountable, how are you going to make sure that your system and the outputs and decisions it produces complies to the ethical standards that you've got? And of course, innovation and growth. People are generally more innovative, do more experiments if they know whatever they are doing with a system that there's procedures and people in place that can help to fix things. So it supports sort of innovation and growth in the organization. Now, from a responsibilities perspective, it starts at the executive level, and executive levels really need to make sure that they endorse the ethical use of the organization and make sure it's embedded in the culture of the organization. At a AI team level, whether it's the developer, the designer, the people running it or decommissioning it, making sure that there are people in place responsible for monitoring, fixing, and communicating. Compliance and ethics officers also has an accountability in AI systems, so making sure there's legal compliance and making sure there's ethical compliance to how these systems are used and what decisions they make. And independent reviewers. I believe that should be part of the roles in making sure you practicing AI and got accountability in place. So having independent reviewers and audits contributes to that, taking accountability. Now, some operational ways to make this practical is really making sure you've got regular checkups on the decisions that the AI has made in terms of the design and the expected outcomes. Regularly see and check that those outcomes are within the sort of design constraints. Keeping record of how decisions are made. So generally what you would like to do is make sure you know what sort of the input parameters were and the decision outputs. So having a log of that, and ideally if you've got a mechanism to understand what factors contributed to the decision, these logs can be very practical in terms of tracking anything that goes wrong, being able to go back and find these issues. So really helping you with taking accountability around the AI system. And then having a clear path for firstly reporting issues, and then for ways to fix and implement solutions that's going to prevent it happening again, and really important to communicate to whoever was impacted what went wrong, how it was fixed. Those are some operational and practical ways you can start implementing accountability around artificial intelligence. Now, if we look at an example, let's say you have an AI system that reviews insurance claims, and one day the system rejects the claim incorrectly. Now, you only hear of this because the customer had a query, but your team is on this. It identifies there was a data processing error. It fixes the error. The team also implements mechanisms to make sure that type of data processing error doesn't happen again. The team apologizes to the customer, fixes the decision, and wraps up the sort of investigation. So that's just an example of how you would take accountability for that impact of the wrong decision. So it's really about making sure you can report, you've got somebody that can find the issue, make sure you can fix it, make sure that you can implement methods or processes, procedures, controls to make sure it doesn't happen again. And really important to make sure you transparently communicate what went wrong, how it was fixed to your end user or your client. Now, if we look at your role in accountability, there's a couple of things you can do. Really, it's important for you to understand AI, upskill yourself in terms of AI, and encourage your team to learn more about artificial intelligence. Also, if you are starting to encourage people questioning the outcomes of AI and the decisions, it will create a culture of accountability and making sure that we don't just take the answers as is, but we always question, is this the decision that was expected? We must also advocate for accountability. So if you're in team meetings or working on designs, always ask who's going to be accountable for this, who's going to take responsibility to fix things if things go wrong, who's going to communicate to the customer or user, and then active participation. Make sure and share with your team that you need to be proactive in thinking about what can go wrong and who would be able to respond when things go wrong. Now, I want to leave you with a little bit of a story and just give you some food for thought. Now, imagine you using an artificial intelligence system to help you with investment decisions. Now, you had a look on the website and it seems the solution is performing quite well in relation to the general market, but there's no real additional information. It's using AI. You're not sure how the AI is going to make these decisions, and if it makes a wrong decision, not because of the market changes, but because something went wrong and it invested in something that it shouldn't have, who are you going to contact? How are you going to ask that this issue be fixed? So I just want to leave you with a thought. If you're using a tool such as an AI-driven investment tool, do you know who can be held accountable if the AI makes the wrong decision? Not if the market goes up or down. So that's just food for thought. Would you be comfortable in spending your hard-earned cash on a system that you are not clear on the accountability if something goes wrong? Thank you for listening. So in the next episode, we will be looking a little bit into privacy and data security. So I look forward to seeing you again. Ciao for now.